I've got another Samsung comparison video for you guys today. This time it's the S2 versus the S3. This is, in my opinion, where the S flagship really became prominent and an iPhone challenger. So, ladies and gents, I'm Ryan Thomas, this is Failtech, and these are my thoughts on the S2 versus the S3 in 2017. Of course, I've done individual videos on both of these, so please do check them out if you want them in more detail. With that out of the way, let's get into it. These phones are old, the S2 being 5 years old and the S3 being 4.5 years old. I picked up the S2 for £20 and the S3 was Callum's for £30, which is a pretty low considering you should be paying around £60 to £70 for these bad boys. As for the design and build quality, well, they're both made of plastic with a glass front. The S2 has the odd bump on the lower back and the overall more square design, almost like a smaller version of the S5. The camera bump is a lot more square and is more a uniform design overall. I feel like it's a pretty solid design despite its age. The S3 has more of a curvy and rounded back that is slightly rounded on the sides as well, with a home button at the bottom. Both phones do carry the same external interface with the physical home button flanked by capacitive off-screen buttons. I'd prefer to get like an iPhone 4S or something for this kind of money in regards to the build quality. The S2 is a 4.3 inch phone and the S3 is a 4.8 inch phone, so you have that different phone size class. I would call the S2 a super compact and the S3 more of a compact phone. Both screens are Super AMOLED, which is great technology and gives you perfect blacks and amazing contrast, with more of a color pop than IPS or TN like you'd find in something like LG's devices. Both the displays do get bright enough outdoors, but the S3's is slightly dimmer than the S2's in my testing. The S2 rocks a 4.3 inch 480p display, which is just not good enough in my opinion and would have preferred a 720p panel here. The 480p screen has a pixel density of mere 217 ppi, which is just too low. The S3 rocks a much larger 4.8 inch 720p screen with a density of 306, which is much better and much closer to that of the iPhone 7 with 326 ppi. Of course, the S3 device comes way out on top for me for things like playing games, watching videos, and reading small text due to its larger panel with sharper display. Apart from the display technology, the S2 screen just isn't up to today's standards in my opinion. It's fair to say that you could use this for something like texting and calling, but any kind of games or whatever, it's just not good enough on this panel. As for the cameras, you'll have the same rear-facing shooters on both. I'm not kidding, it's an 8 megapixel sensor with a lens aperture of f2.6, meaning that low light is going to be pretty dire. Both can shoot 1080p video at 30 fps, which looks alright, and for the photos to come out of both of these, it's not too bad, but it's not amazing. I will leave links to samples, but I wouldn't be too excited, they're really not the best. It's actually rather hard to find an Android smartphone at all, the age of the S2, with a selfie camera, but this one does have one. The ability to shoot 480p video on it is alright I guess, but it's not amazing. As for the S3, you get a slightly smaller 1.9 megapixel sensor with the ability to shoot 720p video at 30 fps, which is much better, but again, just not amazing. The performance figures of these phones are quite different, but both use Exynos in-house chips. S2 comes with a 4210 dual-core 1.2 GHz chip with 1 GB of RAM, which is heavily underpowered, versus the S3, which comes with a 4412 dual-core 1.4 GHz chip with 2 GB of RAM, which is much better and performs quite well. The S2 is just slow when using it. I wouldn't really call it usable for a daily driver unless all you did was call and text. Even then it hiccups and is slow. The S3 was Cal C's daily and he really liked it. It's actually a rather good set of specs for such an old phone too. Light gaming is fine and he uses it mainly for social media and watching video, which seems to work well. I would say that you could use this as a daily no problem on stock software. On Lineage or a custom OS it would work even better. Some reporting they've got it on Marshmallow, which is impressive to say the least. I've had the S2 on stock software of 4.1.2 Jelly Bean, which is pretty old now. The S3 is on 4.4.4 KitKat, which is old but not quite as old as Jelly Bean. The battery life of both of these phones is just not the best. You get a puny 1650 mAh battery in the S2 and a slightly more respectable 2100 mAh battery in the S3. Both of these are removable and expandable, but I would still take the S3 over the S2 in terms of its battery life, which lasts about 50% longer in my testing. The speakers on these devices are on the back, so not very great, very tinny and distorted at high volumes. Just use Bluetooth or wired headphones, simple. The ports on these devices are very normal for Samsung devices, so you get a micro SD card slot and a micro B port and a headphone jack on both. What more could you ask for? I mean, modern iPhones don't have any of this. The fingerprint scanners are non-existent on both of these devices, so go for the S5 or higher for one of those. Overall, I do recommend the S3 due to the fact you can put custom software on it and make it run really rather well. I do also like the screen on the S3, so if you're looking for a good phone in this category, get the S3. Otherwise, if you want a really good camera, just buy an S4 or a G3 as they perform much better here and can cost around the same amount if you look right. I can't recommend the S2 as it's just too slow for me and I would never actually recommend it to anyone, so I don't don't want to give you guys the wrong impression. Thanks for watching, guys. Please do subscribe if you're new around here, and like/dislike and leave your comments in the comment section. I've been Ryan Thomas with Tech, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.